welcome into another episode of The Jump. I'm the host, Cameron Waddle, and with that being said, let's talk a little ball. So we'll first start off with college basketball. What a weekend it was. It didn't get all the light because of 3 Saturday NFL games, but for me personally, enjoyed all the college basketball I could. But we aren't going to talk Saturday yet. We're going to talk about Louisville basketball. So this was last week when all of this chaos kind of hit rock bottom. It could get lower. I don't know. Every time that I say they hit rock bottom and they can't get lower, they just figure out how to do it. So last week at one point, Louisville announced that one of their players, Karan Davis, they announced he's transferring, which later we find out. A couple hours later, Karan Davis, I think he tweeted out, he did not plan on transferring, never had that intention at all. And so then all of that is messed up. And then he ends up showing up at the game that night in the stands. It was just all kinds of messed up. And then they lose that game to Arkansas State at home by 12. And it wasn't even that close. It was absolutely embarrassing. So for Louisville, as if the chaos couldn't get any worse, they play Kentucky on Thursday. So obviously my team, it's at Louisville. So if there's any hope at all, they have the home game. But they beat Pepperdine this past Sunday, and Kenny Payne is still the coach. It's shocking. I don't understand what a coach needs to do to get fired, but I kind of thought that he had done it. But I don't know. It's Louisville. There's no morals there. But I will say, we will not, as Kentucky, we will not murder them. We will not beat them by like 50, because Kenny Payne and Coach Cal are like good friends. Obviously, Kenny coached at Kentucky for 10 years, I guess. And so, like, it's not, if we're up like 20 at half, he's just going to dribble the air out of the ball, use all the shot clock, and kind of go like that. But, Louisville basketball, I mean, it's a top 10 program of all time, and they are in absolute shambles. So, it's such an insane spot that they're in right now. But, it's just chaos over there. But this past Friday, we had number 5 UConn versus number 10 Gonzaga in Seattle. UConn won 76-63. And honestly, this game never felt in doubt at all. Like, Gonzaga just doesn't have necessarily... I mean, they just don't have dudes to match up with who UConn has. UConn's just a wagon, just being honest. Like, they're insane. Anton Watson and Ryan Nembhard, that was really all that Gonzaga had going for them that game. They combined for 35, I think it was. That was really it. Like, there was nothing else. Like, Gonzaga's just not the Gonzaga that we've known the past couple of years to, like, have a chance to make a run, go to Sweet 16s, like, Final Fours. They just don't have dudes. Like, Ryan Nembhard's really good. Nolan Hickman's really good. Greg's good. Watson's good. Like, they have, like, really good players, but they just don't have, like, those type of dudes to make those runs. So, what do I know? I'm just a dude talking to a mic on YouTube, but I just don't think they're going to make a Final Four. I don't think they're making an Elite Eight. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they don't make the Sweet 16. They're going to dominate the conference because it's weaker than it's been in a while. Like, St. Mary's has looked bad this year. They look a little bit more promising right now. But they'll dominate the conference. They'll win the conference. But I will be in attendance for the Gonzaga at Kentucky game this year at Rupp. So we'll retest and see what they're at right at that point. But as of right now, they do not look good. Then Saturday at noon, we started out with a hot game straight off the bat. Number 2, Kansas traveled to Assembly Hall and faced Indiana, an Indiana team that had a lot of hope coming into the year, and has definitely been underwhelming based on what people had them projected to do. But Kansas won 75-71. This was very impressive for Kansas. This was one of those games where it's like, yeah, Kansas probably didn't deserve to win this. They shouldn't have won this. Didn't have any like, it just didn't feel like they were going to win this. And then they just do everything that you're supposed to do at the end of the game. Hit free throws, play good defense, take care of the ball, and they end up getting out of there with a win. So, one thing that, shout out to John Rothstein, he tweeted out after the game, Kansas is now 27-1 over the past 4 years in games where DeJuan Harris scores in double figures. So, in the words of DeJuan Harris, I ain't got to score, but I can when I need to. And he wanted to score in this one. So I don't know what he ended up with in the game, but he was a big part of it. I mean, Hunter Dickinson ended up with like crazy numbers as he always does. But yeah, it was an impressive win for Kansas. It was everybody stepped up that needed to at the certain times. And I mean, Indiana looked really good for most of this. I think Indiana led with like they led like the entire game up until the last like 2 minutes, and then it kind of the better team won. So yeah, it was impressive for Kansas. But like I said, 27-1 when DeJuan Harris scores in double figures. The only loss was a 1 point deficit, 1 point defeat to Arkansas in last season's NCAA tournament, where Bill Self was out due to health and like medical reasons. So yeah, basically 27-0. That's a tough spot to be in for them. But yeah, it was crazy. Michigan State thumps number 6 Baylor, so they get back on track. What was the final of that game? They were up 45-17 at halftime, though. And I turned this one on in the second half just to see what was happening. And yeah, they ended up winning 88-64. And it wasn't even that close. Like, this was an impressive win for Michigan State, and maybe it gets them back on track. I have a future on them to make a Final Four, so I wouldn't mind that. But I could just see it happening. I mean, yeah, we honestly give them credit just for the name on their jersey and the head coach that sits on their bench. But, I mean, it's worth it. Like, he's stood the test of time, made Final Fours over many decades now. So I will forever trust Tom Izzo as the season winds down. They're not too hot right now, but yeah, I'll trust them as the season goes on. Ohio State beat UCLA 67-60 in the first game of the CBS Sports Classic. It was absolutely horrible shooting in the first half. Nobody hit a three in the first half. It was honestly just a mid-off. It was just like, who's going to mess up more? The other team will win. Like, I think combined, there ended up being like 3 threes made the entire game, 3 or 4 threes. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny. Mick Cronin, before this one, he was saying that like it was so tough. They have too many young guys, too many 18-year-olds playing right now, not enough guys in their 20s or whatever. It's hard to get them to play well together and stuff. But people try to bash Cal for that, saying that he just gets these like high-ranked recruits and then they just like they'd be good anywhere. But obviously, Mick Cronin is a prime example of that. It doesn't work. So yeah, no, it was an impressive win for Ohio State. Just I don't really know what they are right now. They've got a couple good wins. They beat Alabama, but we don't know how good Alabama is at this point. So adding this one, good for the Buckeyes. And the second game of that CBS Sports Classic, number 14 Kentucky versus number 9 North Carolina. And my Cats get it done, 87-83. What a game. What a game this was. I mean, honestly, this team, going into this, I was so confident that we would come out with a W in this one. It's honestly comical how amazing these games are every time these two teams face off. And, I mean, like, selfishly, Kentucky is probably the best traveling fan base. North Carolina's probably right there with us, though. So it was oversold out. Like, there was more people in the arena, and, I mean, than what they could fit. So it was wild. But it's honestly just goofy. Like, every time these teams face off, it's just an absolute classic every time. The only time I can think of it not being was 2 years ago when Xavier Wheeler and Oscar went off against, what was his name? The white dude with the long hair. Whatever. It's not Macon. But yeah, they went off against them, won by like 29. That was a fun game. But other than that, it's been just legendary performances, legendary games. Yeah, and this one went right there with it. But Kentucky led for 37 minutes of the game. So like I said, not even like worried most of the time. Like they went up 1, I think, off a couple free throws like late, and I still was not worried. Like I think they went up like 72, 71, and then we went on like a 6-0 run right away. In the words of Dick Vitale, the diaper dandies, they showed up late, and it's very promising because the last couple of years, this has been something that we've lacked. Like last year, if Cason Wallace and Antonio weren't hitting, we were done. If Tata and Kellen Grady weren't hitting 2 years ago, we were done. And it feels like there's like 8 or 9 different guys on this team that are just like trying to go get a bucket. And they will do anything to score at that time. So it was just amazing to see how the team was able to finish. The last possession was kind of bogus. Like we were kind of robbed of a possibly great ending. But yeah, we were up 3, and Cadeau was driving down the court, just dribbling it up, and then he tries to throw it to Cormac Ryan, I think it was, and it just bounces off his back and then out of bounds. So we were kind of robbed of an insane ending. But nonetheless, great game. RJ Davis, though, balled out. I think it is in black and white, clear to say, Armando Bacot's not the best player, Cormac Ryan's not the best player, Elliot Cadeau's not the best player. It's RJ Davis. RJ Davis is averaging 27.4 points in his last 5 games. And those 5 games aren't just, like, terrible opponents. Those last 5 is Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida State, UConn, and Kentucky. So, it's been great competition, and he's averaging 27.4. Like, it's crazy. In this one, he had, he was 8 of 18, 38 minutes. He had 27 points in this one with 4 assists, 7 rebounds. So he showed up. He balled out. But yeah, for Kentucky, I mean, it was so spread out, just everything. We had 8 different guys score 7+. I mean, everybody was boarding, everybody was scoring. It was just all-around impressive performance from the Cats, in my opinion. Trying to be like unbiased and like see it from an outside perspective, but like we had no business out rebounding North Carolina. That was kind of like the thing going into it, that national media was saying that like they don't know if Kentucky can handle the physicality and the toughness that North Carolina brings and the type of style that they play, and they'll just outboard us and all this stuff. But no, we out rebounded them 43-32 overall, and on offensive boards, we out rebounded them 18-6. So it was insane. Like Baycott only ended up with 6 rebounds, which is unreal. Like that is insane. I could not believe that. It didn't feel like he was getting a ton of boards or something. So like I looked after the game, and when I saw 6, I was like, goodness gracious. Like it's just the fit, like I don't know, the energy that this team plays with. They're just getting the ball and going, and it's not like. It's just not old-fashioned. It's exactly how modern basketball is played, and it's just beautiful. One player I want to note, Adu Thiero, played 16 minutes in this one. He ended up with 7 points, but he had 4 blocks, which was the thing for me. Just a hustle guy, like nonetheless. Like that boy's gonna hustle, and like he's gonna find time because like people thought that with Aaron Bradshaw coming back, Trey Mitchell would play a little bit less, and then Adu would kind of like lose all his minutes nearly. No, you got to play that guy. Like if he's going to play like this, you have to play him. Which is starting to make me question if this is like Cal's greatest find of all time. Because I think Adu was a 3-star when he recruited him. He was like the 9th ranked player in Pennsylvania. He had a connection. He coached his father, but the fact that he recruited Adu's grown like 7 inches since he got recruited to Kentucky. And, I mean, he's doing this. He's strong. His head is above the rim when he blocks shots. It's crazy what Adu has been able to do this year. But for the Cats, we jump into the top 10 now, ranked 9th. And, yeah, it's just an exciting time for the Cats. But keeping it with the Cats, a little Kentucky offseason football update. I haven't really talked much offseason football from my Cats, and I'll talk a little bit of the portal and different stuff too after this. But for my Kentucky Wildcats, we picked up Brock Vandegrift in the portal, former 5-star QB out of high school. I'm excited for it. I mean, Liam Cohen kind of went and got him as soon as he entered the portal, and we got him like 2 days later. So just kind of a guy that he wanted. So if he wants him, I want him. We got Raymond Cottrell. I think it's Raymond Cottrell, maybe, from Texas A&M. Got to work on the pronunciation of that. But from Texas A&M, former top 100 player out of high school. Then we got running back Chip, I think it's Trayanum, from Ohio State. He is known for the one that scored the game-winning touchdown versus Notre Dame when they had 10 guys on the field. But he won the game with his rushing touchdown. So running back from Ohio State. And then Jamori Macklin, which was the guy that I really wanted from North Texas, wide receiver. From some people, he was rated the number 1 wide receiver transfer in the portal, and the Cats get him too. So you can't ask for a much better offseason to this point. We've gotten everything that I wanted. And Kentucky is rumored in, can't remember his name, linebacker transfer from Georgia. He was a preseason All-American. He had a secret visit to Kentucky this past weekend. So we'll see how it goes from there. But it would be huge because Trevin Wallace, our middle linebacker from last year, kind of the leader of the defense, he entered the draft, which he's going to get drafted very high, so understandable. But getting him to replace that would be outstanding. And a familiar name, familiar face, Bo Allen is returning to Kentucky. So I think it was he was the class of 2020, and then I think he was at Kentucky redshirt freshman year, and then freshman year. Or he redshirted a year, freshman year, and then transferred to Tarleton State, and then he transferred to Georgia Southern this past year. Things didn't go as planned. He didn't end up starting or anything. And then he's now transferring back. So, he's literally transferring back just to be the backup. But just from what I have seen on his Instagram and different stuff, he's very into his future after football and stuff. So trading, being a realtor, all this different stuff. And so I think moving back home is kind of his thing. He's from Lexington, went to Lexington Catholic, and I think he's just kind of wanting to move home. He's accepting the backup role, and then just going out with a good education, graduating from Kentucky. So I love it. I love the pickup. It's just going to be, it's a guy that already knows the system. He was with Liam Cohen his first year. So I like it. I enjoy Bo coming back. But the 2024 schedule released for the SEC, I think it was about a week ago. And I love it. I love ours. We have Southern Miss. That one will be home, obviously. And then we'll have South Carolina at home, week 2. Must-win game. Can't lose. Must win. And then we have Georgia at home. Probably going to lose that, just going to be honest. We'll talk about the schedule later on, in the off-season. But then we have Ohio at home, at Ole Miss, Vandy at home, at Florida, Auburn at home. I don't even know the last time Auburn played at home, played at Kentucky. I don't remember it. At Tennessee, home versus Murray State, at Texas, and then Louisville at home. I absolutely love it. And that Texas trip might be a must. Or I kind of want to go to the Grove and catch an Ole Miss game. I've just heard that place is absolutely electric. So I definitely might make that trip to Vaught Hemingway Stadium if I don't go to that one. Maybe traveling out to Austin, Texas. But I love the schedule. And I love the fact that we're getting a Georgia-Alabama regular season game next year. It's going to be amazing. And then the rivalry weeks are going to be back. So Texas is going to be played in Texas A&M. I think that's called the Lone Star Showdown, which is a sick name. Makes sense. But yeah, it's got me so hyped for next football season already. And this one's not even over yet, but man, I'm excited. So, other college football news / portal moves and stuff. First of all, Dylan Raiola flips his commitment to Nebraska. I talked about it last week a little bit. His uncle is a coach there. His dad is a legend at Nebraska. It kind of just all adds up. I think he's their highest recruit ever. I think in one ranking he's 8 overall, but he's kind of 1 for most of it. He's the number 1 quarterback in the class. So flips to Nebraska. He's going to be fun to watch. I'm assuming he'll start as a true freshman. And I don't think Julian Fleming has decided. So if he goes to Nebraska, that's going to be quite the target to have right off the bat. And then a few minutes before I was recording this, Corey Foreman enters the transfer portal, former number 1 recruit of the 2021 class. It's a huge loss for USC and a huge pickup for whoever gets him. I'm sure he'll probably end up visiting Ole Miss, something. But wherever he goes, he will be an instant impact player and a huge pickup. But speaking of Ole Miss, they have absolutely dominated the transfer portal. So they're predicted to get Walter Nolan, which is the number 1 player in the portal, former number 1 player in the class of 2022. So that will be absolutely nuts if they get him. They've already got Juice Wells from South Carolina, insane get. They've gotten Princely, I'm going to try my best to say this right, Uman Mielen, I think is his last name, Princely Uman Mielen, from Florida, which was an absolute dog all last year. Just a fun guy. One of those guys that you like to watch, lock in on him defensively, and he'll just hawk down your fastest player as an edge. It's crazy. DeCamerion Richardson, Tamarion McDonald, Tyler Barron from Tennessee. So shout out Cade. I've seen a lot of Tennessee fans say that he was just mid there, but I feel like it's part of they hate him going to Ole Miss. But nonetheless, great football player. Key Lawrence, Jerquan Scott, Lewis Moore, Taz Nicholson, and Chris Paul Jr. They have dominated the portal. The huge takeaways, Tyler Barron I think is going to be huge. If they get Walter Nolan, it's obviously going to be an insane impact. Getting Juice Wells is a cheat code because I'm pretty sure Jordan Watkins is back. Jackson Dart is obviously back next year. That offense is going to be scary. And then Quinshon Judkins is still going to be there. I don't know if the other running back, I'm failing to remember his name. It's one of the coolest names. Ulysses Bentley the Fourth. I don't know if he's back next year. I'm assuming. I thought he was a sophomore this season, but yeah, they have absolutely dominated the portal this whole offseason so far, and it just opened. So, Ulysses Bentley the Fourth was a senior, so I'm an idiot. But yeah, if they somehow have him back, because you get to play 13 years in college now, it wouldn't be shocking. But yeah, it's been insane. Ole Miss has picked up every single weakness that they had last year in the portal, and they've gotten the best of the best while doing it. So it's been wild, and they've really only lost 1 or 2 guys that played. So it's a cool place to be down there in Oxford, Mississippi. Other moves: Kyle McCord commits to Syracuse, so all the Nebraska hype. I think the Dylan Raiola stuff kind of led to this, but he goes to Syracuse, so weird move. It's just, I don't understand it, but I'm excited for it, nonetheless. Ja'Cory Brooks commits to Louisville, so Alabama transfer. I think that's the only visit he took, too, so Louisville doing a good job recruiting, I guess. That'll be big for them. And then Malachi Nelson, also from USC, enters the portal. I think this means USC kind of has their guy. I don't know. I've heard Arch Manning. I've heard a couple other names. But yeah, it'll be crazy. I know Will Howard was also visiting there a couple days ago, quarterback from Kansas State. So whoever gets Malachi Nelson, I'm a big believer in Malachi Nelson. I loved this class of 2023 quarterbacks, and I think Malachi Nelson's got a bright future. So wherever he goes, I will be a fan, and I will be tuned in for sure. So keeping it college football a little bit, I'm going to preview some of the bowls. Not going to make picks or anything yet. I'll save that for a later date. But so my team's bowl, the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, number 22, Clemson versus Kentucky. They'll be missing a lot of guys. And for Kentucky, we aren't really going to be missing anybody that's crucial at all. We'll be missing some backups, but we'll have the main guys. So I'm excited for it. I'm very optimistic about it. And if we can beat Clemson, that's going to be an awesome way to finish off the year. Then the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, the number 7 Ohio State Buckeyes versus number 9 Missouri. Ohio State will be without Kyle McCord, obviously. I think they're without Jillian Fleming and Chip Trayanum. And I don't know about Marvin Harrison Jr. yet. He said that there's a realistic possibility of him playing, and there's also a realistic possibility of him not playing. So I don't know what to take from that. I feel like he's probably not going to end up playing, but he's also the type of dude that will. So we'll see how it goes from there. Without him, obviously it'll be a big hit. But I think this is going to be a game that Missouri just ends up winning anyways, because Missouri's like one of those guys. It's like one of those schools that always feels like they're the underdog no matter what, and like they're not supposed to be here. And Ohio State's kind of like hated that they're not in the playoff, and they're just not going to like give 110% effort. But who knows? I've been wrong before. So yeah, with Missouri not missing a ton of guys, and Ohio State missing like key names and stuff, we'll see how it goes. Then the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, number 11 Ole Miss versus number 10 Penn State. Neither of them are missing a lot at all in this game. Not many opt-outs either way. There's 3 guys opting out for Penn State, which is crazy. That's got to be like one of the lowest of all of bowl season. So yeah, not going to be missing them a lot in that one. That's a game I'm super excited for here in a few weeks. The Capital One Orange Bowl, number 6 Georgia versus number 5 Florida State. We still don't know about Brock Bowers. I don't think he'll end up playing. If it's just, I have no source. Don't take that like and run with it. I don't think he'll play though. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for him to play. But for Florida State, no Jared Verse, no Johnny Wilson, and I feel like Keon Coleman will probably not play either. Just something my gut tells me that he won't. But not having Johnny Wilson, not having Jared Verse, that hurts. So for Florida State, obviously they're going to be with Tate Rodemaker. But I think Trey Benson announced he's going to the draft. So I don't know if he is playing in the game or not. We'll try to find that out real quick. But if they don't have Trey Benson, it might be wraps. Because Carson Beck has already announced that he's playing for Georgia. Okay, Trey Benson is opting out of the Orange Bowl game. So, yeah, all right, Georgia by $3 billion. Bet the house on Georgia. The Verbo Fiesta Bowl, number 23 Liberty versus number 8 Oregon. Not many opt-outs from either way. I know Bo Nix is playing. I don't know about the receivers and stuff for Oregon. Let's see if Troy Franklin is... Troy Franklin... I know he's going to the draft. It does not say if he's opting out or not. But this will be a ugly game. Oregon might just... I mean, this is another scenario of what I was talking about with Missouri, where it's kind of like an underdog feeling. Liberty, they're undefeated, whatever. This could get ugly, though. I honestly think Oregon might just destroy them. So, yeah, I know Bucky Irving already announced that he's returning, so I'm assuming he's going to play in the bowl game. Yeah, it's wild. This game could get ugly. Then we have the college football playoff semifinal game. So the Rose Bowl, number 1 Michigan versus number 4 Alabama. Michigan only has 1 player opting out, which is incredible. That's insane. Which a lot of their guys are seniors and stuff. They're kind of wanting to go out with a bang. And Alabama, they don't really have any big names out either. Like, I guess the biggest, most notable name for like a casual fan right now would be like Tyler Buckner. But everybody knows he's transferring to Notre Dame for lacrosse. So they're not missing a lot either, which the playoffs usually don't have opt-outs like crazy anyways. Unless it's like a number 1 pick. But even then, I think they just play anyways. Even Bryce Young last year played outside of a playoff game. So it's just expected that they all play. Then number 2, Washington versus number 3, Texas in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Washington doesn't have crap opting out. And then Texas not really either. They have a couple guys that I think are transferring that were like... It's crazy because Texas, their receiving core was so good, but they had a huge drop-off after like 3 receivers. So like the receivers after that, a lot of them were transferring. But nothing really either way for them. These games are going to be so awesome. Like, there's no way around it. These games are going to rock. But I guess that it will just about do it. We've officially entered bowl season. This is the first episode since it started. Shout out to Western Kentucky for winning the famous Toastery Bowl, though. in an insane fashion. They were down 28-0 in the first quarter. It just looked like it was going to be a bloodbath. And then Western just fights back. Shout out to Caden Veltkamp, Bowling Green legend, for, I think he went 40 of 52 and 5 touchdowns, like 390 yards. He balled out. Shout out to Dalvin Smith. 2 one-handed catches in this game. Look those up if you haven't seen it yet. But shout out to Western. They win in overtime. I think it was 38-35 or 31-28, something like that, by a field goal late. It was just electric. Shout out to the Toppers. Roll Tops. But, yeah, I guess that'll just about do it. Obviously, there was a rebranding to the channel. It's now The Jump. It's just kind of, it'll be me with featuring some guests and stuff every now and then of just from different companies and different stuff. But just talking ball every week, mostly college. And yeah, so thank you all for tuning in. Go check out the TikTok. Go check out the Instagram. Go give them a follow. And show some love on this too. Throw a like on it. Subscribe. Throw some comments. It's greatly appreciated. I appreciate any and all support. So thank you all again for tuning in. You all have a great rest of the week. Enjoy the bowl games. Enjoy the great NFL coming up this weekend. And peace. And lastly, have a Merry Christmas.